Even the best bowlers only get a strike about half the time that they hit the headpin. Since you will be throwing for a spare in at least half of all the frames you bowl, being good at them is vital to good bowling. There are 3 classes of spare conversions. Low percentage spares. These are so difficult that even the best bowlers just try to count 15. Center spares. The headpin is still standing for your second ball. Common spares. You've hit the headpin, but a corner pin or a chop-off is still standing. Let's start with low percentage spares. If you get aces, you throw 2 more balls for 15. But if you want to spare it, hit a corner off of the black backing and have it rebound into the corner on the other side. If you are going to make a low percentage spare, it will probably be the headpin split. The ball takes out the 3-pin and 2-pin, but you almost miss the 3-pin with the ball, sending the pin across the lane to knock down the other corner. Punching a headpin happens too often. Bowlers get more shots at headpins than either of the other 2 low percentage spares combined. Even good bowlers just try to pick up 15, but to spare it, you pick a side and almost miss the 3-pin, sending it across the lane to make the spare. You can throw for either 3-pin. Your chance of making the spare is the same, slim. With a center spare, you've missed the headpin on your first ball. Good bowlers hit the middle so often that they may throw at 2 center spares a game. A beginner gets many opportunities to throw for a center spare as they hit the middle much less often. The best strategy for most bowlers is to throw the second ball the way they should have thrown the first, following through over the center arrow. The top bowlers hit the side of the headpin where the rest of the pins are standing. This is called throwing for the inside of the pin. This time the left side of the headpin is the inside. The best way for you to make this spare is to throw your best strike ball for your second shot. The top 5 pinners will hit the inside of the headpin, in this case the right pocket, sending the headpin across to the far corner. Here, the inside is the left pocket. You've hit the headpin on the first ball, and the left or right corner pin or a chop is still standing. To make these spares, you will need to learn how to move your starting position on the approach. Remember this line? From the center dot on the approach, through the center arrow, into the headpin. This gray path shows the line down the center of the lane. Rob throws the ball along this line in order to hit the headpin. The line to the pin that you are aiming for always passes through the center arrow. The most common strategy in 5-pin bowling is to move your starting position left or right when throwing for a pin other than the headpin. To do this, you use the dots on the approach. If you are standing on the center dot for the center pin, you will stand 2 dots about 10 boards over to hit a corner pin. When you move your starting position right and throw the ball over the center arrow, it hits left. You throw across the lane to hit a corner. You move right to hit left and left to hit right. Watch how moving to the left helps Rob spare the right corner. Here's the line from the right corner through the center arrow and back to Rob's starting position. Rob moves his starting position to the left to get in line with the center arrow and the right corner. Notice the starting spot on the left outside dot. If Rob walks straight up the lane and hits the center arrow, he will miss the corner. To hit the corner, Rob must walk across the approach toward the center arrow. Actually, Rob stands closer to the foul line than the spots on the approach, and Jennifer stands further away, but both stand along the line from the corner to the outside dots. Now it's your turn to practice hitting the right corner. Throw the ball the same way as you usually do, but move your starting position 2 dots to the left. If there are 5 dots on the approach, this is easy. Just use the outside left dot. You already have the idea of how to spare the left corner. If moving to the left and throwing across the center arrow will hit the right corner, then moving to the right and throwing the ball over the center arrow will hit the left corner. Jennifer lines herself up with the outside right dot, points her feet to the arrow, and walks across the approach. Try to imagine the path that the ball will have to follow in order to hit the left corner pin. The secret to corner pin spares is that positioning yourself across the lane allows for a greater margin of error. In other words, you can be a little bit off and still hit the corner. If there are 5 dots on the approach, line yourself up along the outside right dot, or move 10 boards to the right of the center dot. Point your feet at the center arrow. Your bowling style stays the same as it is for a strike ball, only your starting position has changed. To spare chops, you use the same strategy of moving your starting position, but you don't have to move your starting position as much as you do when throwing for corners. Watch what happens to the line as you move across the lane from dot to dot. The further you move to the left, the further the ball hits to the right. In order to hit the right 3-pin on the chop-off, you stand on the dot next to the center dot. Look at the path that the ball would follow across the lane in order to spare the right chop. Here is Rob in the middle of the lane. He only has to move a small distance left to line himself with the right 3-pin. He points his body to the center arrow and follows through over his target. To hit the left 3-pin, you move to the dot that is immediately to the right of the center dot. Here's the line the ball will follow over the center arrow in order to hit the left chop. Let's watch Rob spare the left chop. He stands in the center of the lane and moves a little to the right so that he is lined up with the dot that is immediately to the right of the center dot. He points his body toward the center arrow and follows through over the target. The ball hits on the left when you move right. At first this seems strange, but using this strategy will allow you to become excellent at common spares. The ball hits on the right when you move left. You always throw across the lane at corners and chops, but you do not change your bowling style. Moving your starting position is the only adjustment you need. The ball hits on the left when you move right. The ball hits on the right when you move left. The headpin might get in the way, but alternate shooting at the right chop on one ball and left chop on the other. This will help you get the idea of shooting across the lane at these pins. Sparing a chop is more difficult than sparing a corner. The easiest shot in bowling is to knock down one pin.